Hey, what is up, Rich? How you doing?
Crumpy.
We're gonna be jumping into a bunch of stories because everything has broken here. So let's go ahead and play the stinger and get into it. All right, so we got a number of breaking stories. One isn't so breaking, but I wanted to do some of my research just to verify that I had everything that I thought I had, and I did. There is a story out of California with the Ninth Circuit decision. There is the SIG thing, which we can get into, and we have a proposed NFA tax. Which one would you like to jump into, Rich, first?
Let's do Ninth Circus.
The Ninth Circuit. Okay. So California has something called an a background check on ammunition purchases. In this case, was uh, uh, Rhodes versus Bonta, right?
Yep,
The
yep.
Rhodes versus Bonta is an FBC backed case that challenged California's background checks on ammunition. It went in front of a 3-judge panel in California. And that 3-judge panel ruled that the background checks on ammunition is repugnant of the Constitution, and therefore, let me just stop that. The people are sending me messages, and therefore that stopped the. God damn it! Hold on, I'm trying to stop that, but for some reason it's not. Oh, okay, I know what it is. It's going through my phone. I was wondering. And therefore, what happened is that they ruled that it is unconstitutional. So ammo background checks is unconstitutional. I am going to share it
Negative
here,
York.
and we can go through this. You want to read, Rich?
Yeah, sure. So here, I gotta click 10 things. And yes, I am ready.
All right. So let me go put it up here. Here we go.
So, Second Amendment. Affirming the district court's grant of a permanent injunction, the panel held that California's ammunition background check regime, which requires firearm owners to complete background checks before each ammunition purchase, facially violates the Second Amendment. The panel applied the two-step framework set forth in the New York State Rifle Pistol Association v. Bruin, known as the Bruin decision
All
by
right.
the.
All right. We're going to go ahead. We're going to talk about what the two-step thing is. Let me just
By
silence
the
this.
wonderful Clarence Thomas.
Yeah, the two-step process is text, history, and tradition. First, what they do is they look at the plain text of the Second Amendment, and is the conduct covered in the plain text of the Second Amendment. Ammunition is considered arms. Therefore, that is part of the Second Amendment. So the conduct is arms. Now they look at the people. Who are the people? The courts have ruled multiple times that the people are the political class, basically anyone that can vote. So 18 and over are the political class. So the plaintiff, Rhodes, in this case, is over 18, is over 17, actually, 18 and above, and ammunition is arms. So the conduct is presumably constitutional. So what they do is they look to the history and tradition of the nation's firearms regulations. That's where the state has to present historical analogs. And remember, in Rahimi, they said a historical analog does not have to be an historical twin, but it has to have some resemblance to a current law. The state could not provide historical analogs to prove that background checks are constitutional on
Hyman.
ammunition, and they knocked it down. What's up, Dark?
What's up, bud? How's it going?
So we can skip a bunch of that. So that's basically what they're doing. And they said that California did not prove that there is a historical tradition of ammunition background checks.
Okay. I got some commentary on this. I want to save that for when appropriate.
Okay. Go ahead.
Wow.
All right.
Let it rip.
So there's a couple
that's
problems
growth and development
with the Ninth Circus Court. And one of the problems is that it's a very large court and probably should be broken down into smaller jurisdictions.
Yeah, it's the largest court in the country. Instead of having most circuit courts have 16 judges, the Ninth Circuit has 32.
So right now, this is a 3-judge panel. It could go en banc.
Oh, I'm sure it will.
Or a petite en banc, and then a grand en banc. I'm making those terms up.
When in most cases the full bench hears it, so all 16 judges out of like the Fifth Circuit will hear the case if it goes en banc. Since the Ninth Circuit has 32 judges, they pick 16.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there's two levels. I'll hold up the appropriate number of fingers. 2 levels of en banc and the Ninth Circuit, whereas most circuit courts there is.
Well, it will only go to a 16-judge en banc.
Oh, okay.
It just depends on who the 16 judges you get, and usually, I mean, the Ninth Circuit is probably the second most liberal court in the country, circuit court in the country. Fourth Circuit is probably the most liberal, but the Ninth Circuit is a close second. So this is probably going to go en banc. I bet California applies for an en banc right now. But hey, man, who knows? This is a win, even if it's only a temporary win. As of today, this is a win. And they said ammo background checks in California are not constitutional.
So is the decision effective immediately, or did they stay the decision?
Okay, if we look through here, well, the decision comes from the district court level, but okay. I also want to point out something too. Oh crap!
Are we going to point out the same thing that Rich did? The American 2, not the German 2. Blew your cover right away. Probably not. No, go ahead.
Inglorious Bastards.
Hey, good reference catch.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm trying to get down. Here it goes. Let's see if it says.
So the law is already in effect. Was it stayed, or I should say the decision is already in effect because this supports the lower court's determination.
Yeah, this supports the lower court's determination. This is an injunction, but what did I say? Why won't this help New York or anything now?
Well, it's Ninth Circuit. It's not New York.
It cannot be a nationwide injunction anymore.
Right. Ooh.
Dang. Oh, Zanti says they still take your ID and hold it in front of the camera.
Yeah.
The fudge.
Is that a real thing?
I don't know.
I know they scan IDs now everywhere. Like that, if you go to buy booze, they scan.
Voter ID is bad.
That's racist, Rich.
Voter ID is racist, but somehow it's not racist to show ID to buy ammo.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, right? So that is a good thing, but I got a feeling it's probably going to get reversed in the long run, just because.
So what's next in the potpourri?
Okay, next in the potpourri, we'll save the SIG stuff until last. Connecticut Democratic Senator Chris Murphy has introduced an amendment to raise the NFA fee. If you don't know, the NFA fee for suppressors, short-barreled rifles, and everything else has been knocked down to 0. But he is trying to use the amendment process to get the fee raised up to over $4,700, which would be the equivalent of $200. Dude, come on, really? Okay.
Yeah, you're seizing up a
Chrome
little bit.
just sucks.
So essentially, what you're saying is that's to account for inflation from 1934 to today, right?
So I mean,
Yeah.
who would have seen this coming? I mean, this is like I couldn't imagine anybody predicting this or seeing this coming down the line in the future.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine us three specifically talking about this exact circumstance.
Yeah, well, he's adding it to HR, what of it? HR 3944, but which is like a defense spending bill, but it's going to violate the Senate rule.
Doesn't matter. He's gonna be able to campaign on that. Like, look what I did. I proposed these amendments to ban blah blah blah. These death whisper pickles.
So it is. Oh, go ahead.
So we're gonna see if the parliamentarian actually lives up to her thing. But even if the parliamentarian rules that, hey, this doesn't violate Senate rules, it's not going to pass because there's not going to have enough support from Republicans.
This is
it's a long shot, but there is always a chance, because never put it past Republicans to sell out your interest to get what they want.
You know, I'd be curious to know if maybe this was even someone else. Essentially, so Senate Standing Rule XVI, which I'm sure is a set of Roman numerals, but just for the purpose of, brevity,
16.
16, there we go, prohibits non-germane amendments to appropriation bills, including those adding legislative provisions or unauthorized spending. Murphy's amendment to bring up the NFA tax to $4,709 fails due to this rule violation. Senate allies plan to object, and GOP opposition in a divided Congress. HR 3944 focuses specifically on military/VA funding and has absolutely nothing to do with gun policy.
Yeah, because he's trying to cram it in there.
It literally has nothing to do with anything in the bill at all. And you know what? Maybe they kind of feel that the big beautiful bill with the HPA and Short Act was kind of the equivalent of that. Like,
it wasn't, because that's a tax. I mean, this is a tax too, but it's that was a tax bill. This is a defense spending bill.
Yeah, very different.
So it's not related in any way. This has no relation to that.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. It's funny. There were people saying, Gruck, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much of a communist is Chris Murphy? And Gruck was just so truthfully answering that question. It was so great. And then people would respond and say, like, thank you for that information. Gruck, how much of an a-hole is Chris Murphy? And then it would respond with an, honest evaluation. It was great.
Yeah. So it doesn't really have a chance. I don't think it's going to pass, but who knows? Who knows? We have to be on guard and use our voices to pressure people, like, once again. But Chris Murphy is the guy that tried to negotiate a $1 tax stamp fee because he knew it was going to be challenged in court.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I do think that.
So, Mr. Murphy, is it $1 or $49.07?
I do think that.
Which one?
I do think, Rich, stop talking over me. I do think that it is going to be challenged in court, and it does have a great chance of being defeated because constitutionally, a tax has to have a revenue generating purpose, and this does not have to have a revenue. This is not definitely not a revenue generating purpose. So Chris Murphy is trying to do this. All the anti-gun groups like Brady and everything are celebrating, but it's not going to go anywhere. And this is just grandstanding.
Yeah.
You got to remember, Congress is a political circus. And our senators are clowns that dances for our enjoyment.
Dude, at least the trains run on time. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
References.
Yeah. Now let's get into Sig. Right.
Interrupting Rich. You rang. Want to freak out Dems? Propose a 2,709 tax on abortion.
Ow!
Brah freaking bro.
Yeah.
Brah freaking bro. Bravo. Yeah, there you go.
What's up, Devin? Trenchwork Chronicles is out there. Good job.
Devin, what's up?
Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about SIG. I didn't do a video because I was getting information. I was talking directly with the Air Force, and now I have all the information I need to be able to talk with us, talk about the facts and everything else in the case. Let's talk about the incident that happened. F.E. Warren, which is a U.S. Air Force base in Wyoming, had a young female airman take off her. What are you putting up there, Dark? Oh, good.
It's the documents.
All right, cool. Had her take off her holster with a M18. The M18 is a Sig P320. She was wearing a Safariland holster, and she had the ALS system, which is a fork system.
QLS.
Right there. TLS.
QLS.
Yeah. QLS, quick release system. Sorry. Yeah. I don't know what ALS. I was reading stuff about advanced life saving.
Well, actually, there's an ALS on the QLS, but yeah, you're right, and you're right. So
yeah. So she took the holster off. She placed it on a desk. The Sig P320 was still secured in the holster. It was on a table. She sat down. Allegedly, according to the reports and what we know, because the investigation is still going on, the 320 fired without any human intervention, striking her in the chest and killing her instantly.
Holy Christmas! I thought it was a femoral artery shot. I didn't know the details.
No, just hold on. Weren't you on the show that we went over this on Tuesday?
Yeah, but I guess.
Oh, I think you came on after.
You know what? I did come on after.
Yeah.
So apparently the table wasn't bumped or anything else like that. It just fired. According to the initial report. Now it is still being investigated, and we're going to get into who is investigating or whatnot. The Air Force has pulled the M18s out of service in the continental United States, Hawaii, and Alaska. That is likely going to expand to Europe. So,
yeah. And for people that aren't familiar with the Safariland system, one of the benefits of the QLS system is that you have a female portion and a male portion. So let's say you have like a drop leg holster or some type of system on your belt or whatever it is. Sorry, this is failing, so I need to stop this print now. So what happens is you can click it in and then keep your holster secured to you, or you can much like this here, you can literally pinch the QLS and pull it out and remove the whole unit while the gun is remaining holstered. So there's zero interaction with the firearm. You're only interacting with the holster. And what was alleged to have occurred, like John mentioned, was the whole unit with the firearm inside of it was taken out, set down on the table, and that's when she was struck in the chest. We had a whole conversation about this, and it's honestly it's kind of crazy that this had been going on for how long with Sig, and the moment this commander lost one person, he was like, nope, done. Pause everything, shelf everything, no questions.
M4s.
Yes, switch to M4s, which is also kind of ridiculous, but it's still, I mean, I'm sure they have Berettas and other things to,
They do. And talking to the Air Force, they're going to break those out, but it's going to take a while because they're all in storage. So right now, Air Force security forces are going to be rocking the M4s without their M18s. Now, this is just in the continental United States right now, but it's probably going to expand. I know the Air Force is talking about pulling them in Europe. I'm not sure about other areas, but it's all very sectionalized. So the commanders have to make the decision for their area.
and
Now,
this is, oh, go ahead.
SIG said that they're willing to assist, and they proactively reached out to the Air Force and Army to investigate. A lot of people are asking, why is the Army investigating? Did something else happen? I had the same exact question. I talked to an Air Force spokesman, and the Air Force spokesman stated that the Army controls the M18 program, and therefore any type of investigation into the M18 going off without human interaction or intervention is always going to be investigated by the Army as well, because they control the program. So that is why the Army is investigating. There's no other incident. And right now, the pulling of the M18s from service is temporary.
And based.
Temporary injunction.
It's
Nationwide
temporary,
injunction.
but it has the probability of going permanent depending on the investigation.
And this document, it says, so this was specifically, Air Force Global Strike Command. Is there a difference between is this only a portion of the Air Force, or is
this is a portion?
Okay, so it's not like every single armed member of the United States Air Force.
No, this is like their MPs and stuff like that.
Okay, so like security forces,
Yeah,
military police, and like that kind of thing. Okay,
yeah.
I was just curious.
But I would not be surprised if it goes beyond that.
Yeah, unknown 100%. If you guys haven't seen the Protrabrand video regarding the FBI testing, that was an excellent video. I think it's even just the idea of taking on the terminology UD is frustrating to me, because UD never existed before the Sig 320, right? It was either an AD or an ND. This is a catastrophic mechanical failure. It is. We should not be using SIG's terminology to soften the blow of their lethal, alleged lethal mistakes.
Well, I mean, if it is true that the gun fires without human intervention of the trigger, I still say it's an ND, but not on the part of the person that owns the gun.
Yeah,
that's negligent discharge on the part of SIG. If it is determined that this did fire without human intervention. SIG did post a message where they sent out their hearts to any affected service member and the families. So There's that.
So let me ask you a question. The P365, the FCU, is very similar to
It's very similar, but it
Different.
apparently doesn't suffer from the same problems.
That's where I was going to go to.
Yeah.
And Dark will be able to talk about this better than I, but basically the FCU on the 320 originally was a hammer-fired unit and then converted to work as striker fire.
Yeah.
1-to-1 ratio.
Yeah. The 320 was released in 2014. In 2009, Sig released the P250, which was a hammered-fired FCU modular system. They modified that, or it shares, I don't know if it was a direct modification, but it shares a lot of the same parts with the 320 and 250 shares a lot of the same parts.
Well, Bob from JSD said if the MUP you can build as a 320 or 250, you just drill 2 more holes to make it a 250.
Yeah, so that was something we were talking about. Like if you hold up a 320 FCU and a 250 FCU, they look identical, but I wasn't certain, so I didn't want to speak on it and be like, oh, they're exactly like. I always said something like they appear to be similar, look exactly like. But then I remembered when you're reading through the MUP instructions, a lot of us have built the 80% Sig 320 modules. I remembered it saying, if you're building a 250 as opposed to a 320, drill holes 45 and 46 instead of, because you have to drill like 44 holes. So, I mean, yeah, they're nearly interchangeable with the addition of 2 components, which would be those 2 holes. So yeah, that's crazy.
The thing that I have a Sig P365 and I like the Sig P365. The thing that I don't like about Sig's methodology is that it is very complicated. There are a lot of moving parts in there, and it's the opposite end of the spectrum as far as Glock goes. Glock is more minimalist. There's much fewer parts in a Glock to make it work, and therefore, less tolerant stacking, less wear issues stacking. If the Glock has so few parts in it, there's not a lot to break or go wrong.
Yeah, there is something called every time you add another moving part, you add another point of failure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Trenchboard Chronicles says, heard some 365s are doing it now too. There have been reports of the shake awake trigger, which basically, if there's even the slightest amount of pressure pushed against the trigger, like just if you were resting at a low ready, which isn't ideal, right? But I'm just saying, and there's any pressure at all, if there's any kind of impact or jostle, some 365s had gone off. But the 320 is what we're kind of focusing on. There's also been some other stuff about the 365, so I would just be cautious. The question that I would ask myself would be, based on the company's performance around the 320, would you be satisfied with tucking that paragraph of explosive projectiles next to your nuts when what we've seen what's happened with the 320?
Yeah, you're exactly right there. I mean, I won't be carrying my 320.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that's why I support open carry.
Yeah. John Crump Live, as an engineer, energy would be stored in a spring. The spring would have to be in the slide, not the trigger group.
Yeah, but the trigger group, what that has in there, which I think where a lot of people were saying the problem is there is a striker plate that blocks the striker.
So there is obviously interaction between the FCU and the slide, because that's where the sear drops the fully cocked striker and all that. The issue based on my observations and my smooth brain research, the issue is that you have a 17 to 20 coiled spring on the striker, right? Just like, any other, glizzy striker, right? And as opposed to being um, partially cocked, it's fully cocked. So it's basically fully compressed, and then instead of having a mechanism like the big cylindrical piece of steel, which is commonly in like something like a Glock, for an example, something like that big piece of steel that would block the striker. It has this little dog leg, which is on the side. It is literally, I mean, in my opinion, the worst design ever. Like a small little, what was once a stamped piece of metal, that's a little dog leg that is on a 2-coil butterfly spring that is supposed to beat the speed of a fully cocked 17 to 20 coil cylindrical spring. And in most cases it does, and the little dog leg comes up and it holds the striker and keeps it from striking the cartridge. But if you add the tolerance stacking of other components, if you add carbon, if you add wear and tear, if you add the fact that they started doing metal injection molding instead of using that stamped piece for more precision, you start creating more opportunities for mechanical failures. So that kind of seems like that's where the issue is. I would much rather have a big cylindrical piece of steel to physically block the striker from going forward, and maybe have one that's partially cocked as opposed to fully cocked. The other thing too is, look, guys, this isn't exclusive to 320s. All right. We had a friend pass away from a modified Glock 43X that fell, wasn't drop safe, and struck him in the head. And Johnny Glocks just published a video the other day where a guy came in, had done some modifications to a 43X, and guess what? It wasn't drop safe. So
that's why my carry guns, I never modify my carry guns.
Yeah. Or at least don't modify the most important components. Like, do what you want with sights and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're not talking about sights. I'm talking about like
internal components.
Components.
Yeah, even though I did just recently change the shoe on the trigger of my Glock, everything else. Yeah. Well, so typically not, but one of the issues with Jonah's 43X, I think, was those little tiny whatever 4/10 screws or whatever they are, instead of using like pins in the trigger safety. I think over time those screws backed out and the trigger safety fell out, so there was nothing to stop the trigger from pulling when it fell, and it just happened to be at a time where the striker safety was either not working correctly, or the spring was jammed up there, carbon locked, whatever. Something happened that allowed the striker to hit the primer.
Yeah, but like anything like that, but like changing out like a mag release to an extended mag release or sights.
Basic stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like if it doesn't affect the gun firing, then yeah, go for it. But if it's something that's like internal components, whatever. What do you guys think about Sig recently, like a couple of months ago, changing their manual to say you shouldn't carry a 320 with a round in the chamber?
So Israeli carry.
Most companies have something along the lines of never keep your gun loaded unless you're actively using it, and they say something vague like that. Like Glocks say something similar. I think people have blown.
That's lawyer speak.
Yeah, it's a reduction in liability. So I think people had blown it up because of all the recent issues that we've seen. Had it always been like that, never would have been a thing. But because they did it after it ends today, like
it ends today.
Yeah. Oh man, what just terrible decisions like over time, just piling up.
Now I'm gonna get you guys' opinion. What do you think is gonna happen to Sig?
The question
Honestly,
is how much money do these contracts with the government represent?
the majority.
Billions.
The majority of SIG's money comes from government contracts and police contracts and everything else.
But across the industry, whether it's Glock or whatever, that's probably true, correct?
I think the majority of Glocks come from the civilian market, actually.
Oh, okay, all right.
And
I mean, if they
Leo,
would have got the government with the contract with the 19X, that would definitely
and
be
now,
different.
This isn't just the U.S. government. SIG has contracts with multiple governments worldwide.
yeah.
I'm sure the U.S. government is the biggest government contract, period,
100%.
that SIG has.
I hear that. I mean, I don't know if this is true, but what I was told is that makes up the majority of the revenue.
Yeah, this could be a TWA 800 event for SIG or Pan Am Lockerbie Scotland event for SIG.
I don't see. Maybe I hope they don't go bankrupt, but I mean,
Yeah, I don't think any of us want anything bad to happen to them. Just for clarity, for any future torturous interference lawsuit allegations. I mean, I think that, and likely Crump and Rich would agree, no one wants something bad to happen to any company that's, helping provide people with their natural rights and fundamental rights. It's that
there are a couple.
Yeah, I guess I'm tiptoeing around it a little bit, but I'll say this. The way that it's been handled so far is abysmal. It is terrible. It is embarrassing. And still, I'm not personally like reporting on this stuff like on my channel and whatnot, or even here today talking about it because like I want something bad to happen to SIG. It's about the gun owner, right? It's about the gun owner. And now Agarizer, I think it was, brought up an excellent point. He was like, hey, when this happened to this police agency over here and to this civilian over here, that's one thing. But when this is happening across the United States military, now this problem is funded by us, right? Like the problem becomes our problem, right? These are our tax dollars. And I guess to some respect, law enforcement agencies would kind of fall into that category as well for like local or state taxes too. But yeah, I think the way it's been handled is terrible. I think it's embarrassing. And if they were to have just jumped in and said, holy crap, we need to make some changes immediately and did that, then it could have been a huge moment for them to shine as opposed to a huge moment for them to circle the toilet bowl.
Yep. Yeah, it's we'll have to see what happens, but I
have another question. Those were some great questions, John. And I have another question. How much longer can we allow stuff like this with the new NFA tax, bill and like all just everything that we have been facing without installing new air conditioning in tyrants' faces?
What?
I mean, this is insane, dude. This is absolutely nuts that we have to constantly battle.
But just like the first Trump administration, you have to reelect us to get 50 state reciprocity or blah, blah, blah. Reelect us in the midterms to get this. So now we have to reelect the rhinos in the midterms to get them to remove suppressors, AOWs, SBRs, SBSs from the NFA.
I don't want this to be confused as like accelerationist behavior and speech or whatever. And I certainly would never want to call for anything like that at all. But there has to be some point where it's like, just stop it. Like you're approaching the danger zone. Honestly, the danger zone has been approached for a century. But like when I don't know, maybe it's probably a more appropriate conversation for like, over a beer than on a live stream. I'm sorry, I'll shut up.
Or at GOA Goals. where we'll be there with definition knives.
I won't be there.
Yeah, you're not going to be there, but definition.
No, I'll
Highly
be.
disappointed in you, Crump.
I'll be on a beach in the Caribbean.
Are
Come to
you
my
going
house to
on
be
a
on Caribbean
carnival?
beach.
You going on a carnival cruise?
No, I'm not going on a cruise at all.
I'm just kidding.
I'm going to a resort.
The West is dying, Dark. You know it. I know it. I know. I'm just. It's honestly sad to continuously read these things, hear these things, see the attacks, and basically not be able to do anything. Like, imagine if you're standing on your porch and you see like a roving gang that's armed approaching your property, and you're like, well, I hope they're nice. Like, you can't do anything, you know? Like, I know I could do something, but yeah, anyway.
Get some lemonade for 'em.
Yeah, right. Don't use any hate speech against them. Straight to jail.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're gonna get out of here. Yeah, a Norwegian cruise. No, I like MSC cruises actually.
Who do we know that works at MSC?
Or we do know someone who's in the gun community. But the reason why I like MSC cruises, because when we go on an MSC cruise, we usually do the yacht club, which is nice. Have you ever done the yacht club, Dark?
No.
What you get
I
like
haven't been on a ship.
you get like a private butler and everything, which is freaking awesome.
I would
I'm
just
going as
assume.
Crumpy's other third son.
I would just assume that anything that involves a butler, I've never done. I would just use that as like a benchmark.
Well, it's gonna sound like, oh, he must have spent a lot of money, but Rich, how did I get the yacht club?
You were the lowest bidder.
Yeah, they had like in one extra room open for yacht club, with private butler and everything. We had a regular cabin, so it's like, well, you can bid to get upgraded, and you get a private butler, private dining.
So you totally lowballed it.
Yeah, when you don't stand in line when you go there. They meet you at the curb and they give you champagne and they walk you to your room and everything else. So you skip every line. You
Does
never stand
Miriam
in line
drink?
anywhere in the no.
So
But you never stand on line anywhere on the ship. Like if you go to a show, you don't, you get escorted to all these shows and you get escorted everywhere, right? Which
Nice.
is really cool. But they had a bid, and it was like, bid to get upgraded. And these are like, these are like $20K, like a person or whatever. And I bid $100, which was the minimum. And guess what?
You got it.
No one else bid.
Because no one else knows about this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, so I got $100 more. And when you walk around, people are like, oh, there goes the rich people. It's like, yeah, if you only knew that if you bid $100, you could
I know, right? They probably paid $350 to get on. They're like, make way for the royalty.
Yeah.
Dude, that's like me searching for eBay listings. I look for like the little guy listings that dude, that's how I got that black multicam Glock slide with the Holosun SCS. I got that whole thing for $359 or something like that. Yeah. Like that's how much the optic was. Anyway, yeah, sorry. I'm that way, but just with gun stuff.
Yeah, but you get like you don't have to wait in line anywhere. Your excursions are all like, you get these private excursions, and when you go to like the island where everyone goes to, they have a private beach for you.
No riffraff.
No riffraff. No beach salesmen selling their handmade jewelry.
Fluffy Bunny Arsenal. The fanciest thing they ever did was weekend at the Greenbrier. Did you go see the secret base under the Greenbrier? You don't know. The Greenbrier is a hotel in West Virginia that's really, really fancy. That every person that worked there
Was the spook?
Yeah. No, I'm not flexing. I'm saying that I could never afford that too many choices, but because I bid $100 as a joke because I didn't think I was going to get it, I got it.
Yeah.
Reach for the stars, people. That's the message.
Yeah.
Or just very carefully look for insane deals.
Yeah, it was kind of funny.
Dude, I was at the Greenbrier before I knew anything about the secret rooms and all the Fed employees and all that. When there was that huge flood in White Sulphur Springs, I went to just help people that were affected. Dude, you want to talk about destruction? Oh, I know. Sorry, it's a whole nother topic, but yeah, that was brutal. You see what rushing water can do to homes. I mean, like 9 feet of water in a valley, bro. That was brutal. But yeah, we were operating out of there basically as like like home base, and I was there for a week, and I had no idea.
Yeah,
But I did hear people reference it constantly, like the bunker, and I was like, oh, it's like a joke or something. And then a few weeks ago, we were talking, and Crump was like, yeah, no, they literally have like a massive bunker there.
Yeah, it's shut down now. But yeah, like everyone that from the maids, front desk, they were all like government CIA employees type thing. Yep. Black Diamond Josh says, "Rip Hulk Hogan, Rip Hogan, Rip Ozzy." My whole childhood, everyone's dying from my childhood, which is
Crazy.
yeah. If you don't know, Hulk Hogan died dead at age 71, massive heart attack.
That's terrible, man.
Yep, Terry Bollea. All right, guys. I will see you guys. There is a bunker. Where I wonder where the new bunker is. Mount Weather, Virginia. Kind of close to us.
Yeah.
It's also featured in Mission Impossible, the latest Mission Impossible movie,
And the 100.
and the 100. Yep.
Interesting.
All right, guys. We'll see you guys later. Have a great weekend. I'll be in South Dakota starting Sunday. I'm in Delaware now, so I'll be in South Dakota Sunday, back for a week, then be out of the country for another week. So
Word.
there you go. A lot of traveling.
Peace out, Cub Scouts.
Take your vitamins and say your prayers and be a real American.
Absolutely.